Hey Debbie, how are you?
Hey, hey, Cynthia. I'm doing great. Doing great.
Amazing. Awesome. So I'm super excited to have you on the podcast. So why don't we kick it off? If you could introduce yourself to my audience.
Yes, I'm so thrilled to be here. My name is Debbie Gonzalez, and I am an author, an educator, and a Pinterest marketing specialist. I'm the founder of an agency called Pinlit Marketing, through which we work with authors, illustrators, publishers, bookstores to market their books on Pinterest.
Amazing. Awesome. Yeah, I love this topic, and I don't think I've had any other guests talk about Pinterest for books because it's a very specific way to use Pinterest. So maybe some of the listeners are curious about this. Like, I know I love Pinterest. I feel like it's very much connected with SEO. And I've been using it a lot for like party planning and cake decoration inspiration.
Uh huh.
But I'd love for you to tell us a little bit how this looks like for a book promotion, because maybe some people have just never heard of this way of promoting editorials or anything
Yeah.
published.
Yeah, it is. It is phenomenal. Phenomenal. It works for any kind of book, any kind of topic. Traveling. Oh no.
Oh no. Cut for a second. Now I hear
Oh,
you again.
okay, good, good.
Mhm.
Oh shoot. Now I can't get
Yes.
my video. There we go. For some reason I can't get the video. Anyway, your podcast person's gonna have fun cutting this thing up, isn't it? So
Yeah.
anyway, say a book is about, oh, I don't know, a traveling book. Maybe maybe going to Argentina. So you have a book about Argentina, and you talk about the food of Argentina, the landscape, the people, the traditions. So your book is very rich about the experiences of Argentina,
Right.
and you want to market that on Pinterest. Well, Pinterest is a visual search engine. People confuse it with Instagram or
Oh no.
why are we having so much trouble today?
I know. There you're good.
Okay, we're good now. Maybe it's done all it needs to do. So I know you can trim up this thing, so that's fine.
Yeah, totally.
But anyway, so say you got a book about Argentina. So you're talking about family life. You're talking about topography. You're talking about the plants, all those sort of things. So all of these themes that you're talking about with Argentina, these actually become topics for search topics. So when somebody comes into Pinterest and they're looking for some information about Argentina, and they come to Pinterest for everything. So say you're looking for dishes, recipes from Argentina. If you have coded your book and you have got some content to support that topic of Argentina and food in Argentina, your book is going to raise in the search. So somebody's looking for recipes, you have coded your book content to feature some of the recipes in your book. And then when someone comes to learn about a trip for Argentina, your book is going to surface in their feed as well. And so it is an amazing way to actually identify your intended audience and then continue to rise in front of them through searches that they have come to Pinterest to actually, they're asking for it. They're looking for information. They're inspired by something. They're discovering answers. They're planning for a trip, all that sort of thing. And so that's why one of the ways that I talk about working with books is I talk about teasing themes out of a book. So many times when people come to Pinterest to market their book, they talk about the title, maybe the author, and those are lovely. But when you come to Pinterest, most of the people, I would say 85% of the people, come for unbranded searches. They're coming for things that they're looking for. So they're not going to come to the Pinterest to look for a book written by Debbie Gonzalez. They might, but they might
Right.
not. But they're going to come to look for something that's going to solve a problem in their life. Something that, like you're saying, you're looking for. You think about when you come to Pinterest, what are you looking for? Party favors, you're looking for a party, you're looking for ideas. And so in creative marketing with Pinterest, your content can rise right in front of the very people that are looking for it. It is amazing. It is amazing.
Yeah, so I think that it's interesting, and maybe again someone who's writing a book isn't even thinking about this stuff because maybe they're like, well, I just want to, get my book out there. Do you feel like, so I feel like I already know the answer to this question, but I want to ask it, is like, if you've already written a book, can you work your way backwards with some of the marketing for Pinterest, or does it have to be something that you think about before you write the book?
I think it's before, during, and after.
Okay.
It is one of the best ways to promote a pre published book. As an author, it is really, really important, and you know this in marketing as well, to establish yourself to get visibility before your book comes out.
Right.
So perhaps you are posting blog posts or videos of your research. Once again, going back to this book about Argentina, maybe
Right.
I'm doing a deep study of the food of Argentina. So I'm doing blog posts about, street food and family food and stuff like that. All of that is content. And then you're, by the way, my book is coming out May 2026. You can pre-order it here type thing in the blog post. So, and then when your book's out, oh wow. And then see, I have a book that's coming out. It was published in 2019, Girls with Guts. And now my publisher wants to republish it again in 2026. So I'm doing a pre-launch relaunch of the book. And the book's not going to be out till 2026 again, but it's already out there. And Cynthia, I think the primary thing that I just love about Pinterest, particularly for books, particularly for authors who work so hard to get their books out there, Pinterest is an evergreen marketing source. It is a platform. So I've got pins that I put on Pinterest in 2016 that are still surfacing, that are still serving me well. So with thoughtful planning and good solid SEO and, lovely images and that sort of thing, the work that you do on Pinterest is going to be an investment in your visibility long term. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool. It's pretty cool. I have so
Yeah,
much
when
fun
you
with it.
tell people that, like, same thing happens with SEO. There's content that you've built maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago. And that's the content that's doing well, and new content can do well as well. But it's such a different mindset because I think we're also used to, well, when you do marketing, you can just really feel like, well, it's what you post today or what you do today. But if you think about it as this long term strategy, suddenly the pressure can feel a little less daunting because you can see it more as like planting the seeds to your garden. And so you're building this, you're growing a tree that's literally giving you fruit or whatever all the
Absolutely.
time of the year. And so suddenly is like, okay, so there's like this build period, but there's also a period of like pruning and stuff like that. And it's not as like, it doesn't always have to be so intense. And so that feels much more manageable.
Yeah. It
I
feels
feel
much
more
more
manageable.
manageable. And I think, too, what happens with our clients, and I'm sure with yours too, is once we step out of that anxiety and that panic and got to be up there and all that sort of thing, once we actually sit back and actually just really think about what is our message, who are we, And how can we represent that message in an authentic way through Pinterest or anything else? And then I find it 9 times out of 10, when people do approach this with a real thoughtful, mindful way of communicating their messages, they soar. Because they're,
Yeah.
whatever you're doing, whatever you're interested in, whatever you're writing about, whatever you're marketing, there is somebody there for you. They are there. And they will find you when they're ready. And our job is to just be consistent and explore our motivations. Why are we actually doing this? And then really go about it with the mindset of giving value to our clients and value to our audience, which makes me feel comfortable. I'm not really salesy, gimmicky. I'm more long term, you know, stick around a long time and get to know you, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, and that marketing it's a different, it's so impactful, right? Because you're connecting with someone else on a human level, and I don't know, I just love it. And I love it because a lot of, I guess it can be attractive, especially when you're starting your business, like maybe more aggressive, like, come on, just buy from me now. But that doesn't work long term,
No,
right? And you can actually lose a lot of people if you're just selling like in a very aggressive, salesy way. So the cool thing about the search marketing, which again is the Pinterest space, is that you are coming at the person when they are ready to find you. So
mm-hmm.
they are literally looking for you in that moment. And so when you show up, it's like the beautiful timing. And we've all had that experience of finding, that resource, that blog, that Pinterest pin that's like solving that problem that we're having. And that's very special.
That is special. That is special. And I think too, right now, as you well know, everything is so noisy. There's so much information to the point that we just have to, just tune it out for a while.
Yeah.
But I think as marketers, we also have to, we learn from those that are really moving quick and, getting the whatevers. But then we have to take our eyes off of it. Take your eyes off of it. Don't compete, and just really, and this comes with maturity, I think, in the marketing space too. You
Yeah.
come in, you think, I got to make this money. I got to do, well, you will, but it's going to take some time. And that's the thing about Pinterest too. Organic marketing, it takes time. You're not going to see a lot of growth until probably the end of the second month, the first or third. And also what happens is Pinterest is getting your information and indexing you like crazy. And then by the third month, you're going to have so much information about the age of the person that's looking at your stuff and what tool they're using, the whole bit, that then if you want to then start doing some promoted pins, you're going to see amazing return. Amazing return. However, when you start doing promoted pins, then you've got to alternate your approach organically, because it does kind of play with your algorithms, but it can be done. It's not a problem.
Yeah, again, it's a different mindset. It's more long term. It can complement something short term that you're doing now. But the beauty of it is it's more consistent, right, over
Mm-hmm.
time, and it can be more reliable. And that can take the pressure off, especially if you want to do other things in your life, right? And you don't want to be online all the time, sitting in front of the computer, which I think for many of us who, we have our own business, our own books, we're writing, we're being creative, you're sitting a certain amount of time writing, but then there's a certain amount of time you're like out walking, you're thinking, maybe you're whatever gets your creative juices flowing. And so you need to have these marketing tools available to you that are kind of working in the back end as you're able to do your life
Yeah.
and just live.
Another wonderful thing about really laying out your evergreen content solidly is once it's indexed, once it's in to Pinterest, Pinterest will categorize it in trends. So say these pins that we're talking about with Argentina, and we're talking about seasons, maybe the seasons of Argentina. So There will be pins that maybe will rise in springtime. Well, people are coming to maybe gardening or something like that. So Pinterest will actually take that content and index it with a trend that will always connect with your content. And that is part of that evergreen nature that you don't get on the other social media platforms, because you're
Right.
actually indexing your content like a library.
Right. Yeah. I was curious too. Does it work well with fiction as well,
Oh,
books?
absolutely. 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 You can once again play with your themes, whatever your themes might be. Also, looking at your content, what kind of emotional resonance does it have? Because if it's something like maybe a YA that has a lot of social, emotional content with it, you go ahead and write your content, do your pins to actually connect with the reader on that emotional level. Or if it's a fantasy, a high fantasy, has a lot of dragons in it, you use that key SEO, those terms, and also put those terms and those images on your pins, in your boards, in your titles. You just kind of overload the whole thing with all these terms. And yeah, so any book I've done, baby board books to dark fantasy to adventure novels. I had a really fun. I love this guy. It was so much fun.
Mm.
He was in South Africa, and he had all these safari things, and so we did a
Oh,
lot with
cool.
the animals. With yeah, so that's why I think why I specialize in literacy more than we really go deep with the information in the book and market that. So, say if you're looking for a book about dragons or whatever, we're going to understand the content of your book and then market that.
Right. So that sounds like the first step, like identifying your themes and kind of the through line
Yep.
of your book, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, recipes, travel, children's books.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you identify that, it sounds like you build your Pinterest strategy and the pins based off those different themes.
Exactly. Exactly. And you want to hit the target audience. So, say it's a children's book and you really want to try to break into the homeschooler market, then you tell it. Tell Pinterest directly. Although you have to make it creative, you have to make it, not obtrusive, but you let Pinterest know. Or if you're looking for adventure seekers or travel lovers or whatever, you tell Pinterest directly, I want these people to find this book. And you do it creatively in all of your content and your images, and it'll work. And the thing about Pinterest too is Pinterest is there's a movie that I can't remember the name of it, but in the movie there's a plant that just wants to eat, eat, eat. I can't think of the name of the movie, but it's just hungry all the time. And Pinterest is that way too. You've got to continue to give Pinterest fresh content, and there are lots of different ways to do it. But you need to, if you're a DIY Pinterest person, you need to show up at least once a week, maybe twice a week.
Right.
And then as a professional, we drop every day probably anywhere 6 to 10 pins a day.
But you can reuse your pins, correct?
Absolutely. There's all kinds of little ways to tweak them and say, like I just did I worked with a client's platform just a minute ago, and out of 8 pins in a particular campaign, this particular campaign, we were looking at a certain avenue of her book. And so we made 8 images, 8 descriptions, 8 pin titles, and then we organized those all differently with different boards. So I was able to come up with over 100 posts for
Wow.
those 8. So there are ways to do it. There's all kinds of tricks.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
like
all
in
kinds of
SEO,
tricks,
there's
which
the
just
tricks of
delight
the
me every
trade.
day.
I love that. Oh, so good. Um, yeah, I'm curious how you kind of stumbled upon Pinterest. I get asked that question too. Just curious, like what, I guess, yeah, how you found it, and then like what inspired you to explore it and become like a Pinterest service provider.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question. I love to talk about it, but I don't want to bore anybody, but okay. So I also have a business called Guides by Deb. And Guides by Deb, I don't do it so much anymore, but I did it years ago, educator guides for books. So people will come to me with a new picture book or a YA or something like that, and I'll read it and dig into it and create teacher guides for it. And they're all academically aligned, and so I follow the themes with the books, the characterization, all the stuff we're talking about here, which has prepared me to become the Pinterest marketer that I am today because I look at a book and
Right.
dissect it. So with Guides by Deb on my website, there's probably, at least 400 or 500 of these teacher guides that I've made. Well, back in 2016, I thought, gosh, it might be kind of fun to promote these books just to kind of give a little plus for my clients. So I started dabbling with Pinterest then. I just started playing with it and putting some content out there. And Pinterest was fairly new at the time too,
Right.
maybe it's just 3 years old. I mean, not, and it was clunky. It was clunky, and I was clunky too. But it was great
You
fun.
guys got through it together.
We did. Okay, and so then I got a contract on that book I was talking about, Girls with Guts: The Road to Breaking Barriers and Bashing Records. I got a contract on that. The book was going to launch in 2019. So I thought, gosh, I wonder if I can do my teacher guides and maybe promote my book. So I got a Pinterest marketer. I hired someone to help me do this. And so I used that as part of my pre-launch campaign to promote my book, which is still serving me well. Still serving me well. Okay, so then all going along, I'm doing my Guides by Deb, I'm doing, Girls with Guts, all that sort of thing. Well, the pandemic hit and everything in the world stopped. And so I got a couple friends and I was just like playing with their stuff, and they paid me a little bit of money, and I was learning how to market their content on Pinterest too. Well, the pandemic hit, like I said, and remember that time people were taking road trips. They were getting in vans and mobile homes and driving all over. And
Right.
one of the locations that people were really enjoying was the Grand Canyon. Okay. Well, I had done a teacher guide for a book about the Grand Canyon. And in this teacher guide, and I had done that in 2016, 3 years before the pandemic. And the teacher guide had a little craft in it, and you made Grand Canyon in a bottle, and it had a really fun thing.
That's cool.
Well, just overnight, that pin went viral. That
Wow.
pin, that 3-year-old pin, went viral into the millions overnight. And it was because of people looking for books, looking for crafts for their kids because they're going to take trips. So I told my husband then, I thought, oh my God, John, there's something here. So I dedicated that nasty old pandemic to learning how to be a Pinterest marketer. And I've never looked back. I've never looked back. And to this day, that pin, it every once in a while it'll surface and then it'll go down. It's rising now because people are beginning to plan their holiday, their summer trips. So I can see that it's kind of, getting, and it is now so well indexed that it's in some kind of a thread that, but it's 2016, and here it is. That pin's close to being 10 years old, and it's still working.
That's
So I
amazing.
know, I know, and it's not really even that gorgeous of a pin, but I must have done it right, must have coded it right. Yeah. So that's what we do to work with our clients, is to really look deeply at the messaging of their books, their intention, what do they want to bring to the market, and then we
Right.
have some fun
I
with
love
it.
that. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I love that you walked your own walk, before offering it to your clients, and you saw it for yourself. And I mean, that's really the way to do it, because you can see your own results and even showcase that to your clients.
right.
Um, but it is also cool to like have that same experience that your clients get, right? And feeling that emotion, because it can be hard sometimes to well, at least I speak for myself with SEO, like sometimes at the beginning, because it takes time and it's kind of like you're planting that seed. And so maybe a client or a student's like, well, I don't see a plant. And it's like, it's down there, it's in the little seed pod, but we need to water it. We need to wait,
Right.
sun and water. And like you have to hold that faith and that space for that other person, and that also takes, it takes a certain energy to be able to say, look, like this is going to happen, but we need to wait because everyone's so impatient now.
Right.
And
Right.
like we were talking about, a lot of, and I include myself, I feel like I'm always in a rush. And SEO reminds me, okay, we need to slow down. There's no rush. This is going to
Mm-hmm.
happen. And then when it does happen, it can feel really nice because it's so much more sustainable.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it feels right. But not every single pin is going to go viral too.
Right.
You're going to,
Uh,
of the 100 that I posted today, um, we'll probably see really good traction with about 15% of them.
right.
But we have to keep putting it out there so Pinterest will understand that we want you to index this. We
Right.
want you to, and this is who we want you to index to. And if you need a
Right.
reminder, I'll put some more out there.
Yeah. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Deb. Where can people find you and like hang out with you?
Oh, I loved it. You can find me at pinletmarketing.com, and you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm there. I feel like LinkedIn just is amazing to me. I always feel like LinkedIn for me is like I'm a little kid and the grown-ups said, "You want to sit at our table now?" So I'm over there. Oh. Yeah, so primarily my website and LinkedIn, and I have a newsletter. I'd love for your speakers or your audience to sign up for the newsletter. And I do
Sure.
something that it's called a fit call. And a fit call, if you come on my website and hit the fit call, it's basically a conversation to see if Pinterest might work for you. And if anyone from your podcast identifies themselves as being one of your listeners, when they sign up for that fit call, I'll take care of them. Yeah, fit calls are typically about 15 minutes, but I'll give them much longer time.
Amazing. Thank you. Yes, I know
Absolutely.
you'll be very generous. Yeah, so I'll include all that in the show notes so that people can hang out with you. And amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. What a delight. So great to talk to you.
Likewise.